Eevee Comply, simplifying your charge point installations.
It's Friday, the 3rd of March. Another week, another podcast brought to you directly from Eevee Comply. Starting this week with the fact that Ford Motor Co. said on Wednesday that it will boost its spending on electric vehicles to $50 billion, which is up from the previous $30 billion through 2026. And it's going to run its EV unit separately from its legacy combustion engine business in a move aimed at catching industry leader Tesla. Ford plans to build more than 2 million EVs in 2026, about 1/3 of its annual global production, with EVs rising to 50% of its total volume by 2030. Ford shares were up by 7.2% on Wednesday. The company does not expect to make a profit on its EV business until the next generation models begin production in 2025. This is according to Chief Financial Officer John Lawler, but they believe the investment is absolutely worth it and they will see a huge return in the future. Now, do you ever get that strange feeling that you're being watched? Well, if you stick with Polestar in the next few years, then you definitely could be. They have the Polestar O2 concept. Now, with this, they are envisioning a new age for electric roadsters, and this will feature, when you purchase the vehicle, an autonomous cinematic drone that films you from above whilst you drive the Polestar car. Now, this drone has been developed by Hoco Flow and it's going to be launched on the move, apparently. Now, thanks to an era of negative pressure, it will follow the car at speeds of up to 56 miles per hour and it will just film you as you go. The drone even has drive modes, atmospheric modes, and it's great for coastline cruise, apparently, with a sport mode as well, and it can record all your major action as you drive the vehicle. I don't know, have you ever wanted to be filmed whilst driving? I suppose it's a futuristic view of a dash cam? I'm not sure, but it's a cool concept, and you can actually check out the O2 model if you go to our Eevee Comply Instagram page. Hyundai lines up 17 models and a new platform in their 12 billion EV push. Hyundai will introduce the second generation of its eGMP electric vehicle architecture in 2025, which will bring standardized battery and motor systems with a view to reducing manufacturing costs. It will replace the eGMP's variable battery packs with standardized cell-to-pack units, which can be flexibly integrated according to the vehicle's needs. The construction method boosts energy density, Hyundai claims, and it should also have an effect on charging times. Elon Musk has got a bit catty this week. The South African entrepreneur took to Twitter to respond to a tweet praising their rival EV startup Lucid Motors, who have bought out a model that can travel more than 500 miles per charge. Elon took to Twitter to say, "We could have made a 600-mile Model S 12 months ago, but that would have made the product worse, as 99.9% of the time you'd be carrying unneeded battery mass, which makes acceleration, handling and efficiency worse. Even our 400-plus mile range car is more than almost anyone will use." Lucid Motors appear to be one of the most viable from the new wave of startups, and Musk clearly sees the 520-mile Lucid Air as close enough of a competitor to be commenting on it via Twitter in the first place. So maybe Lucid are doing something right, and maybe Elon is feeling the pinch. Now, speaking of range, StoreDot has a 10-year plan, and at the end of it wants to reduce charging times for 100 miles of range down to around 2 minutes. So a battery pack with 300 miles of range could theoretically fully charge in 6 minutes. That's around the same as a tank of gas and would make EVs as easy and stress-free as ICE cars, albeit if there are enough chargers and a strong enough energy grid. But you get the point. Now, that sort of battery won't come until 2023. StoreDot has other goals in the interim, though. By 2024, it wants a silicone-based battery pack that can charge 100 miles in 5 minutes, theoretically capable of charging a 300-mile pack in just 15 minutes. Of course, that's not factoring in any charge speed slowdowns. to protect the battery. By 2028, it wants a solid-state battery that can charge 100 miles in just 3 minutes, dropping that same theoretical time down to 9 total minutes overall. StoreDot have big plans and we wish them luck. Electric vehicle sales more than double in February compared to last year, in yet another encouraging result for the market in the light of a supply crunch, delivery delays, and a noticeable dip in the broader auto market, which dipped 1.5% year to date compared to 2021. These are still small numbers compared to the wider markets of around 160,000 vehicles sold to date in 2022, but two other important figures also stood out. Sales of new petrol-powered passenger cars plunged 22% and petrol SUV sales dropped 7.3%. So EVs overall are on the up. Interestingly this week, EV terms have been added by iVendi to its online search. The move means that potential car or van buyers shopping online could type phrases such as medium-range electric saloon or BEV panel van up to 100-mile range and receive accurate stock results from the dealer or portal using this technology. Official WLTP data covering range has been introduced in order to quantify potential terms such as medium range and long range, while London's ultra-low emission zone, so ULEZ, can also form part of the search. Rob Severs, Senior VP of Product at iVendi, said, "Car buyers are becoming both more curious and more informed about electric vehicles, so now is very much the right moment to be introducing this enhancement. Our own data shows that over the last 12 months, we have had a 100% increase in pure electric vehicle searches." The switch to EV is changing everything, even down to the tyres we use. But of course, even down to your driving test. The AA Driving School has added 100 electric cars for learners to their fleets. The new fleet could see 1,700 tonnes of carbon saved in just 12 months. An additional 15% of current instructors have been put on a waiting list for EVs, and 2 in 5 current learners said they would switch to EV lessons if available. Learners in London, Liverpool and Cardiff will be able to get started with EV lessons this month, with more locations expected in the coming year. Automatic lessons are growing more popular among younger drivers, with 13.8% of drivers opting to take their test in an automatic car in 2021. So there's no reason at all why the uptake of EV should not hit the ground running. So it's that time in the podcast where I do some EV myth busting. So what's the truth? Are EV batteries built for more than just a summertime cruise? Do they have what it takes to brave the long, cold winter? Now, when temperatures drop below 20 degrees, EV batteries do struggle. Now, it is a fact, research has shown that using the heater while driving an EV in the cold can temporarily cut down the range by almost 40%. So when it gets super chilly, the available heat in the engine is redirected to warm up the EV battery itself, which means a power source will be needed to heat the car up. Now, what this also means is that the heater in the EV will draw power from the battery, reducing how much battery is left for driving. So I suppose the answer is no, EVs aren't really cut for the winter, but there are things you can do. Now, one way to work around this is to keep your battery in good shape during the winter months, and you need to make sure that you always have at least 20% of charge before storing it for the night. This will make a massive difference because just like your phone battery, your EV battery will deplete over time, even if you're not using it, and cold temperatures can accelerate that pace. If possible, you need to try and park your car in a climate-controlled environment as well, so in a garage if you have one. But if you have to park your car outside in the cold weather, like I say, just make sure it has between 20% to 80% charge. It makes a huge difference. The more your battery power gets sucked up in the cold weather, you have to consider how you drive your vehicle. So driving slower and easing off the accelerator are two ways to increase your battery range in the winter. Also switching to eco driving mode That can also increase your EV battery time. Getting your battery to room temperature before charging is a big one that not many people know. So obviously once it's charging, it doesn't matter, it will regulate the temperature itself. But if before you plug it in, you can try and get it to room temperature, that makes a difference. And investing, of course, in a high quality car charger will ensure that your EV battery stays in great shape throughout the winter. The founders of Deliveroo, Zapp and TIER have invested in London-based EV charging platform Bonnet in a £4 million funding round led by Lightspeed. Bonnet provides users with real-time information on EV charging availability and options via an app. It said it will use the additional capital to triple the number of its employees, secure new charge point operator partnerships, increase international presence, and support R&D into new features. It also plans to expand coverage of UK and European chargers by the end of the year. In other news this week, the Eevee maker RIVIAN has raised their prices for the quad-motor version of the R1T pickup from approximately $67,500 to $79,500, while also raising the price of the quad-motor R1S SUV from about £70,000 to $84,500 prior to any incentives and destination charges. These price increases are as a result of the pressures on the cost of supplier components and raw materials across the world, says RIVIAN. They say this price increase allows them to maintain product excellence as they continue investing in the electrification for their shared future. The automaker emailed all owners this week to make them aware of any changes. Now, the draw of battery swapping stations for electric vehicles is undeniably a quicker option. It would save users time by not requiring them to leave their vehicles hooked up to a charger. For many, it could save a few hours over a working week. Now, battery swapping stations can install a new and fully charged battery pack in an EV that has been designed with that in mind in no more than 2 to 3 minutes. In China, more and more of these stations are being constructed, and one of the companies promoting them is NIO. The automaker has over 700 stations in its native China, and it wants to increase that number to 4,000 by 2025, with 1,000 of these new stations being planned for locations outside of the country. So what do you think? Would you be up for battery swapping, or are you happy just charging? That's all from me. As ever, you are now in the EV know for this week. Be sure to join us next Friday and keep up to date from everybody here at EV Comply. Have a fantastic weekend.